Set.
What's up, guys? This is Rich with Wolverine Airsoft, and today on What the Tech, we're going to be taking a look at how to set the bucking lift tension on your new Phoenix Hop from Wolverine Airsoft. So, a few things we're going to want. We're going to need the hop up with the bucking installed and ready to go. We're going to need some BBs, just a couple BBs on hand. I would recommend having the engine that you are planning on using with you. And then you're going to want your adjustment tool, and then some sort of a tool with a thin shaft that will fit inside the barrel of the gun. Probably the most challenging thing with this is just developing a feel for what the right amount of tension is. So we're going to try to tackle that two ways. We're going to give you some guidelines on how to tell to get it pretty close. And then we're going to give you some indicators that we've developed over testing extensively with this that generally indicate, based on what the behavior is, how you ought to adjust it. So to start with, you have your adjustment tool. The process of adjusting is very simple. You're going to take the adjustment tool, install it into the notch in the back, and you're going to turn the threaded portion. Now, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, you tighten it down, it's going to be tighter. You unscrew it some, it's going to be looser. Okay, so that's all very intuitive. Now, as far as telling how much force you need to load it, play with this a little first. Do it a couple times. Make some small adjustments, drop a BB in, and then use your little tool and push the BB through load it into the chamber, and see how much force it takes. Okay, then make a little adjustment. And you can kind of get a feel for how it works. So do that first. That's a good first step. As far as getting it pretty close, generally what we want to do is we want to put a BB in. We want to take the engine that we're planning on using, and then we want to load the BB into the chamber using the engine. Now, if you make it too tight, what's going to happen is as you try to load the BB, this nozzle is going to get pressed in a little bit. It's going to kind of press in a little bit, and then it's going to pop into the chamber. It's a pretty good sign that you probably have the tension too tight. Rule of thumb is you want a little bit less resistance than it takes to cause the nozzle to deflect, right? So if I'm doing this and I tighten it down a bit, I try this, and I feel, okay, my nozzle actually compressed just a little bit there loading it in. Probably too much, right? So I try that again. Yeah, it compressed a little. The spring on the nozzle compressed a little bit. We don't want that, because then it's not going to load smoothly. So just take my tool, back it off a little bit, and we'll try again. Now we go, okay. There, the spring on the nozzle did not compress at all. It popped cleanly past the lips. And that's probably about right. And we can try that. But if you put it together, you try that, and it's not working great the first time, don't freak out. It takes some getting comfortable with the system and developing a feel for exactly where this tension should be. It's very easy to adjust. So let's talk about some of the symptoms of either being too loose or too tight, and how to interpret that and get dialed in pretty quickly. So first symptom, we're going to talk about mid-cap syndrome. So mid-cap syndrome is the tendency of the gun to shoot with more hop at the beginning of the magazine and less hop towards the bottom of the magazine. This is something that has been observed with a broad range of systems. But in general, our rule is that if it is an RS flat hop, something like that, in general, you probably need to increase tension on the bucking lips if you are getting mid-cap syndrome. Now, counterintuitive is that with a traditional style bucking, you probably need to decrease tension. Not always, there are exceptions, but generally, mid-cap syndrome with a traditional style hop-up rubber and nub indicates too much tension loading the BBs. Double feeding. This one should be fairly obvious, but you want to increase tension, right? If you're double feeding, there's not enough resistance to BB loading, so one just kind of slips past. Don't want that. So increase resistance. Jamming can happen in various forms, but jams across the board are almost universally a sign that you need to decrease the tension, right? Inconsistent hop, so it's kind of firing some up, some down. That is generally, I do say generally because there are exceptions, but generally that is a sign that you want more tension in order to get better consistency. Now, I will throw in there that regardless of how you set the tension, it is very unlikely to create side-to-side variation, any substantial amount of side-to-side variation. This only really has an impact for the most part on vertical variation of the hop up. So if you're seeing a lot of side-to-side variation, you want to look at something else with the system. It's not the tension, right? You want to look at using a different rubber or different BBs or something else is causing the variation there. Last one is slow fire. So it fires. We see this sometimes, especially with the Gen 2 Inferno. This is a behavior just because it loads and then fires. It's just kind of slow in firing the BB. It'll sound a little funny. It'll kind of just pop. You kind of hear it fire and then it'll actually fire the BB. This is sort of one step short of jamming, right? It's really struggling to get that BB through the bucking lips, and so we need to decrease tension. So that's the overview of how to tune your Phoenix Hop from Wolverine Airsoft. For the full breakdown of the technical explanation of how this system works and all the patented technology that's going on inside it, check out the full video right over here.